Hello everyone, Alien Volt here, and I am playing Romero's Aftermath. Now, Aftermath is an open-world survivor horror action game that's very similar to like DayZ, H1Z1, Miscreated, except for that it's an indie title, and it is basically the continuation, or rather intended to be the redemption, for an abysmal game that came out that was titled WarZ in pre-alpha or alpha, and then when it was released on Steam it was renamed Infestation Survivor Stories. And the game had a horrible business model, probably the worst business model I've ever seen in a game. If you died, you had to pay real money to actually respawn in the game. And if that wasn't bad enough, you can actually buy weapons in the game, store them in a bank, and then before you load out, as you spawn, you can load up on premium gear, spawn in a newbie spawn area, and then annihilate anyone that happens to be spawning without weapons. Horrible. Horrible game. Horrible business model. Now, as you can see, these graphics don't look horrible. I mean, they're obviously not AAA quality next-gen graphics. They use DirectX 9, so they designed the game on an older engine. But it is an improvement over WarZ and Infestation Survivor Stories. Maybe not by much, but enough. I remember in Infestation, the tree branches were 2D. Now, I don't know what these statues are. Apparently it's claiming like a plot of land, but why there would be multiple statues on top of each other seems like a design flaw to me. I don't know if they're randomly spawned throughout the map or whether they're intentionally placed there, but the placement doesn't seem at all thought out to me. Now, other than disease that you can get from being bit by a zombie and having to drink fluids and eat food, there really isn't any other survival aspect to this game. Now, there are plenty of supplies that you're going to find everywhere, but it just seems to lack that need to actually survive. Now, the base of this game isn't bad. The models aren't that bad. I mean, this is a good environment to actually play. And as far as a PvE experience goes, it's actually rather good. I don't really have too many complaints for that side of the game. Now, the combat in the system's like a coin. You know, there's the heads and there's the tails. On the positive side, you have to hit them in the head. You have to get headshots, or it's going to take like 20 hits to kill him. The negative side is that you can be hit from like 10 feet away, as well as hit someone from 10 feet away in melee. And that's just way too much. It needs to be adjusted. The firearms work well enough in this game. They're nothing amazing. You're not going to find, you know, super realistic recoil or sounds, but they work well enough to get the job done. Now, another negative aspect of the combat system is you can actually jump on a box and kill a horde of zombies without ever taking any damage because they just can't hit you on the box. It doesn't read right. That needs to be fixed. Now, when it comes to character customization, you actually do this in game. You can change your character's face. There's not too many options at this point, but it looks like they have plenty of space to add on later. Now, you can also change the hairstyle and color of your character, but that's pretty much about it. It's pretty limited. Now, one thing about this game is it has a lot of skins. And offering a free-to-play game, you're going to expect, usually you're going to expect, some type of marketplace built into the game, so the game manufacturer or designer can actually make a profit on the game because they don't design these games to be free to go in the hole and become bankrupt. They have to recover their money somehow, and that's normally done in marketplace transactions for skins or for DLCs added to the game later on. Now, the skins they actually add into this game are actually pretty cool, and they offer quite a lot of them. And there are several of them that are purchasable by not only in-game currency, but also real funds. And that's what the yellow icon is when you look at these skins that have both on there. You can purchase it with real money or with in-game currency. The choice is yours. Now, that in itself isn't a bad deal. I mean, they have to recoup their money, and doing it creatively by selling something that consumers want and desire is not a bad thing. Now, they also have lock boxes that are similar to Counter-Strike, and in those lock boxes you're going to find some really cool and rare weapon skins, as well as personal items that weren't available to buy with in-game money or real currency. But you do have to buy the key just like you would in Counter-Strike to unlock the lockbox, or you can sell the lockbox to someone else in game. Now, here's where the whole thing becomes an issue. Here you see there are supply crates, and kind of like H1Z1 that sells supply crates in the form of an airdrop, this game sells it in just a supply crate. You keep the items that are in it. There's no chance of losing it. Whatever it's spawned in, and you're pretty much guaranteed a weapon and ammo, and quite a bit of ammo from what I understand. We're not talking a stack of ammunition that you would find laying around in a building, like say 6 to 12 rounds. No, we're talking entire stacks of ammunition that you could buy. We're talking 20, 50, 100 rounds or more. Not to mention the fact that you get weapons. And if you look at the prices of these weapons, the highest damage, weapon is close to 3,000 in-game currency. And when you take into consideration that I was running around in the game for 6 hours and I managed to get a total of 260 credits, 3,000 is going to take quite a bit of time, unless you're just lucky and come across a lot of good items. Now, personally, I think that weapons need to not be sold, as well as ammunition, in the in-game stores. Now, granted, you have to go to a safe house location in order to purchase these items. You can't just purchase it through the menu when you spawn in. You have to make it to a safe house, which could in of itself be a problem and take quite a bit of time. However, if you buy a supply crate and you die, you still have all those items in your inventory. You don't have to run back to your bank for your stash to get them. Now, when you first look at the in-house store, you're thinking to yourself, well, all this stuff is sold with in-game currency. That's awesome. If you can't buy it with real money, there's no unfair advantage. If you go out and you farm for the items and you put in the hour to get all this funds, everything's great. But what they don't tell you is there's a money transfer system. And all you have to do is put a bunch of money, real money, let's say you dump 20 or 40 bucks into this game, you're going to have this astronomical amount of in-game currency that you can turn around and buy multiple supply crates, weapons, whatever you want in the game, which thereby creates an unfair advantage. And that's where the problem with this business model lies. Now, although this isn't going to have really any negative effect on PvE, because who cares if you have the best weapons and an unlimited ammo supply in PvE? You're not playing against other players, you're playing against the environment, against the zombies. And in fact, you're probably playing with players, so there's not going to be a negative aspect to that part of the game. And that's a good half of the game. So if you want to play this game PvE, you're not going to have a problem whatsoever. But when you play it PvP competitively against other players, that's going to cause some issues. At that point in time, it becomes more of a pay to win. You're not talking pay to progress, you're talking straight up pay to win. And considering the fact that these developers used to charge you for just having the ability to respawn back into the game if your character died, tells you they're not into this to really develop a game the community wants. They're in this to squeeze every penny they can get. So what they've done is they've increased the prices so much in the game and made it so difficult to thereby earn in-game money that they're actually forcing your hand, if you're going to play this competitively in PvP, to go out and spend a bunch of money on the game. And I'm sorry, but this game just does not offer enough to warrant that. If you want to make money on a game, design a very good game. Add some innovative features that other games just don't have. You know, make people want to play this game. Don't design creative, misleading schemes to try to get people to spend money. Do something that's innovative. Offer something that makes people enjoy spending money on your game. On a positive note, the crafting system is pretty good. They offer quite a few things to craft, and it doesn't take a lot of materials to craft these items. They're not that hard to come by. You can find plenty of things to tear apart and break down throughout the world to get the mats to make these items. The problem is that there's no discovery system. The crafting system is based on you finding patterns to actually be able to craft these items. And that by itself isn't that bad. The most basic items to craft, like a fire, you know, bandages, those items have to be learned. And even fire I can understand learning, but bandages, come on. Anyone can take a piece of cloth, put it on a wound, and stop bleeding. That should be pretty much common. Now another crafting thing that they have in the game is you can actually craft bases. You can fortify a compound if that's what you want. Create a military compound of your own, it's yours. Now of course H1Z1 also offers, you know, extensive construction and bases like this, as does Miscreated. Now the difference is that H1Z1, although there is an initial price to buy the game and play it through early access, it will also be a free-to-play game, and this game's probably direct competition once it goes free-to-play. So put simply, this development team has a lot of weight on their shoulders and a lot of work ahead of them. If they want to compete head-to-head with previously Sony Entertainment's now Daybreak for H1Z1, they're going to have to do a very good job with this game. And right now, the way their shady business model is with the money conversion, I just don't see it happening. Most people are going to choose H1Z1 over this once it becomes free to play. I just don't see any element of this game that's going to make you want to play this over H1Z1. Yes, the map is big, and it looks pretty decent. I mean, this is a good looking map. As you can see, the view's, you know, pretty good. Now, one thing I really do like about this game is the map. The map not only shows where you are, it shows where everything is. From, you know, the safe points, where the bank is to bank your gear, as well as the store to buy and sell things, if you happen to have the money to buy things. As well as just every camp to be looted. Now, the actual feature they put into this game that is really cool is they actually have invasions in towns. And as you can see here, you can see how many zombies have been killed, you know, what percentage you've destroyed. And right now it's 0 because the zombies end up respawning pretty quickly, so unless you're here with a large group, it's really hard to get them down all the way. You're not going to do it by yourself. But it's still a cool feature to come into towns that might have a lot of loot items to loot, but you have to deal with the hordes of zombies. So from a PvE perspective, this game has quite a bit to offer, especially since it's free to play, and in PvE, there's no need, you know, to be swindled by their business model and dump any money into it. However, for PvP, which is a very popular game mode for this genre, you're going to have to spend money to be competitive, and I just can't recommend this game for that. Alright, well that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.